podcasts are very specific about vegetables or small walruses that have defects. You know, subcultural stuff that certain folks just gravitate to, and yet they pull in hundreds of thousands. And each one of them tries to do the same thing, have something interesting, something fantastic, something so compelling that their viewership simply can't look away, like a car wreck, except less blood and no insurance involved, because then they raise your rates. And yet with all of that, very few, let me rephrase that. I've done the research. None of the worldwide billions of podcasts broadcast daily, even as we speak, have chosen the particular gimmick I've chosen. What is it? It's that amazing roll of the dice that every time you tune in at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on YouTube or Facebook Live to watch my podcast, you get to always wonder the exact same thing. I wonder, you say, internally more than likely, because if you're speaking to your computer, you need some kind of psychological intervention. I wonder, you say, now that I'm watching the podcast, if this week I'll actually be able to hear him the whole time and not have Wyatt ruin it. Well, the only way we're going to know is if we launch into the theme music, and then I frighteningly but hesitantly look over at the little thread of comments and see if it's dominated by the "we can't hear you," because that's what I've learned to accept as my hook on Brad Stine Has Issues. You know when it starts, because once in a while you'll hear this. Yes, and then some, yes. Listen, yeah. I am so proud. My son Wyatt Leroy Stine is here with me. Wyatt, I noticed you did some very unique things. Now, again, folks, if you're brand new to the podcast, this is Brad Stine Has Issues, where conservatism, comedy, and Christianity collide in a cacophony of clarity. So everything you ever needed to know about life, I give it to you, and then eventually I'll be assassinated. But that's what happens to truth tellers. Meanwhile, one thing you get to find out about this amazing podcast is that oftentimes it glitches. Matter of fact, if it doesn't glitch, I have to go see my heart therapist because I start palpitating. Because I'm used to everything going wrong, because my son has been put in charge of the buttons. Wyatt, how are the buttons today?
I would just like to start this podcast by saying,
Yeah.
yes, I did literally change nothing between this stream and the last one.
Okay.
And yes, it decided to work this time.
Okay.
And no, I'm not sure why.
Okay. Well, here's the thing you need to know as you are sitting here viewing this. Wyatt actually got up here early, did a little pre-production, tried to figure out if things were working properly. He said they were, and here's what I've learned, my friends. And again, if you're new to this, if you're my old friends, if you're my old buddies that are here every Monday, you know that it doesn't matter what Wyatt says. It's still going to fall apart. But for those who are new, who are just virgins at the Brad Stine Has Issues podcast, why, they wouldn't have any idea as to why suddenly when they can't hear something, them thinking it's the apocalypse, we get to tell them, no, this is how we run things. We are Glitch Central. What?
Every podcast needs that special secret sauce to keep it unique.
Wyatt?
Otherwise, if we don't have these weekly technical problems, then what separates us from every other podcast on the Facebook?
Wyatt, it'd be like we were just primates, just sort of lower primates trying to run a podcast.
No, it would be like we were chasing a fad.
Oh.
with nothing useful to add to it.
Chasing a fad. Well, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
And again, I don't want this professional.
That
I
is
don't
my
want
least favorite activity.
I don't want this thing to become so good that people actually can depend on it. Why? We got to keep people guessing. Don't you think that's one thing nobody suspected from us, is that there's nothing from us they can expect?
I mean, when you name your podcast Brad Stine Has Issues, you kind of have to make that title work, you know?
Just call me a prophet. Because remember, Brad Stine Has Issues started without you, Wyatt.
Yep, I'm going to call you a prophet because without me, there would be none.
Yes, that's true. I am trying to profit, but it's not working out.
We would be broke.
Wyatt, you know where I need to go right now, don't you?
The comment section. And before you do,
yes,
it's time for the $1 million question.
I know.
Who was first?
Now listen, here is another glitch, but it's my internal glitch that you guys don't know about because you don't get to look at my little thing here. I call it my little thing here because that's the technical term. Remember, we don't want to call things by what they actually are. We don't want to use buttons where they work properly. We don't want this thing to run smoothly. We want everything so glitch heavy that many of you begin to need some sort of, I don't know, psychiatric drugs maybe to try to survive. But in this case, everything's running smooth. But here's something that doesn't run smooth, Wyatt. And by the way, for those of you who, if you're on top of things, you might be thinking something's a little odd today. He's talking to his son Wyatt, our favorite sidekick, and yet he doesn't look like he's looking like this, which is what he's always done. What has taken place? Well, for those of you, especially you women, who notice everything, I've got a brand new desk today. Yeah. Brand new, first podcast, brand new long desk. My wife found it super discounted. She got an incredible deal on it. I can raise it up and down by cranks.
You want to show the audience that and start telling them about it?
Sure.
Because it's a cool mechanism we've got.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move the camera. You can give a live demonstration.
Wyatt, you can crawl over here to stay low. They'll never see you. And that way you still maintain your anonymity, but you can crank it up.
I could, but I feel like the real impact
would be me doing it?
No, not seeing you doing it.
Oh.
Seeing the crank actually turn and how that makes it run. Because otherwise,
how are we gonna do that? Nobody's manning the camera.
The camera. Have you crawl over there and I don't know, make this week interesting.
Do you guys want to see me crank
what do you think?
Yeah, do you want me to crank the table? I'll crank the table.
Come on, audience.
Don't think I won't crank the table. I'm just saying I don't want to do it just, willy-nilly because, maybe it's not what they want.
Also,
yeah.
While, oh gosh, what's the comment? While we are waiting for the comments,
yeah,
I can just find one. There's one, specifically,
that
I am having a hard time finding because you guys are commenting, a bit too much.
Okay.
Gosh, where is it? Dang it.
Wyatt, while you're looking for that, I got to tell you something, and it happens every dang time.
What?
First guy on my little pad is Dusty Wilhelm. Hello, friends. Second, Sheldon Davis. Hi, from Heber Springs, Arkansas. Third, Karen Boyd, our favorite mascot girl, the female mascot. She's the girl Wyatt, except for she knows how to handle buttons. Danny Herring, prayers for quick healings. Yeah, wherever you are, Danny, we pray you get healed. Jesus' name. How about that? People will be coming on this podcast and getting healed, and then, people start doing it.
So here are the current responses to the question of should we crank the table.
Right.
We've got Marcia Pointo Reed who says crank the table.
Okay.
We've got Michael Kraft who says crank that table.
You want me to crank the table? See what I'm saying?
Hold on. We got James Lyons?
Listen.
Something who says no.
No crank? He's anti-crank?
Yeah. We got Michael Glean who says no, don't. And then we have Dan McManus who says this is dumb, bye.
Oh, shoot.
Dang it, we lost. I already
Dan
forgot
McManus.
his name, actually. What's his name?
Dan McManus. Well, listen, he's an anti-cranker, and let's face it, some people are, and that's okay. I'm an American. I believe in free speech. If you think something's done, head on out.
All right, so apparently the consensus seems to be that they don't want to see us crank the table.
They don't. Okay.
And I would like to know why. What do you have against tables?
Wyatt,
or cranks?
listen
or
to me.
both?
Listen to me very carefully. You don't understand the phobias that are out there. I have talked to you guys, and I have done an entire routine in my comedy about phobias and the lack of them being actually true in America. I said it, and didn't we do a Brad Stine Has Issues rant on phobias and how they're misused? Didn't we do that a few weeks back? Anyways, the idea of phobia is a term that's always attached to something that people want you not to be able to think or believe. So if you, for example, find that, marriage should be between a man and woman, that was a big thing during the gay marriage conflicts, and somebody said, nah, it should be men and women because that's what we've done throughout the history of human, then you would be called homophobic. Now, phobic is an irrational fear. Homo is the same. So the real word, it would be meaning irrational fear of the same. So obviously that's not true, nor is anybody fearing that. I certainly am not. So it's not a real term. But phobia is something we don't want. It sounds like something that is, a flaw in your character that you certainly wouldn't be proud of, certainly won't want to hang on to. So if we attach it to you, then you will flee from the preface and run away, not because it's true, but because you don't want to be branded as such, because you don't have the courage, or as we like to say in Latin, the huevos, to simply say, not buying into your nonsense and your censorship, and I'm going to fight back like a man. And if you don't, you're going to lose your freedom, and then I have to pay for it. Why? Listen, if people want to be cowards in America, so be. I can't fix that. But their cowardness also attacks people like me, free speech advocates who will not self-censor ever. A joke, anything. And if you tell me you can't joke about that, I'm going to double down and joke about it 2 times. If you say I can't do that, I'll do it 4 times. I will set a bar, a standard to say freedom is mine. You can't take it from me without a fight. That's what I believe. Listen, I'm a comic. I have to have access to as many words as possible. Wyatt doesn't. Wyatt doesn't need words. Words are confusing for him. He's trying to find which button to use. A word gets him convoluted, gets him confused. But I did want to finish this statement for those of you who are watching the podcast for the first time. You wouldn't know, but if you are old regulars, this is a new table. It's a great deal my wife got. It does go up and down in case we need to alter it. Got a new mic arm. Why? Because we're going to put another one on this side. I've got a new mic that will go there. We've got new headgear. This is all stuff that, as you know, took me time to get because it's expensive. We can have live guests, and they're going to actually fit on the table. When we had my first live guest, Jonathan Chiliafaro, my opera singer friend that we do the Spirit of America tour, he was on the small table, but we were trying to see if we could even make it work. Remember, folks, when you watch Brad Stine Issues, you are watching a professional train wreck at work. As long as Wyatt's running the show, and he's my son, I love him. But if he's running the show, things are going to go crazy. They're going to eat it, and you get to watch. It's fun. Wyatt, what's your favorite screw-up you've done so far?
Audience, help me with this one.
Yeah.
Is the video currently lagging on the stream? Because if so, then I'd say probably that.
It is lagging. How do you do that?
Well, you see, here's the thing. So you know how we have this amazing setup where I can have the live chat on one monitor and the stream software on the other one? Well, it turns out either vMix or Facebook absolutely hates me for that.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure the problem will go away if I just simply turn off the second monitor. But my question is it even happening to the stream, or was it just on the video end?
I know that the one I'm watching, which is what they're watching, I'm guessing is lagging from where I am right now, but who knows?
In that case, I'll just put it away just to be safe.
Well, let me say hi to some folks while we are here. Hello to Carl and, of course, Larry Wells Outlaw. Hey, brothers, Brad and Wyatt, God bless. Nick Kress, how are you? Did Nick Kress come in first on yours?
No.
So it wasn't me. It was not even you, and I don't get to blame you. What fun is that?
Well, who was it on yours? Because on my end, it was Amber King.
Nope, Dusty Wilhelm.
Well, Destiny Wilhelm is apparently who was, but on my feed, it was Amber King.
Oh, well, guess who came here? Gonzalo Poe from California. God bless you. We'll be praying for you.
Lagging. All right, I'm just gonna
Danny and Hearing, we know that. Westlake, Louisiana's here with Bruce Jr., Barbara Duvall, she's back. Forrest Bainey's here. Hello, Wyatt the Blade, and Brad, too. No audio problems today. I'm sorry, Forrest. I don't know what to tell you. Every time I'm hoping my son will continue to screw things up so at least we can be consistent about that. Suddenly he nails it. And by the way, he called you the Blade. Why? Wyatt. Why'd he call you the Blade?
Because of the utility knife.
Because of your knife.
Literally still one of my favorite possessions.
I know.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Nick Kress with his poignant remarks. He came early and tried to break it so he could fix it. Very well done. Joan Taylor's here. No problem here. Michael Clay. Greetings from Utah. Good to have you here. And I hope you're having a wonderful time with your alcoholic beverages that are only at 3%. Utah's, of course, LDS. Poor Wyatt, keep on going, Carn Boyd. She's sticking up for you as usual. Joe Haynes is here. Jersey Shore, that's right. Roy Crasilius, howdy, brother. Images by Allah, I made it for this show. Thank you, Lord. Been dealing with our city representatives. You know the ones you're walking. Yes, I know all about it, buddy. Brenda K. Marlowe, hello from Michigan. Oh, poor girl, she's in Michigan. I'll be in the mitten soon. Let's see.
All right, so we have a comment from John Doe, Arizona, who says that we need more lighting.
Which part? Which side? This side or that?
They didn't say that. I mean, your end seems fine on the camera view.
Yeah,
but I did bring up a backup just in case.
Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? Beba McMenon said. He said, I prefer hearing the show and then watching the table go up.
Is this enough light, audience?
No, you crazy. You crazy. Michael Kraft, hot professional train wreck.
I brought my industrial strength flashlight. Here, you know what?
What?
Take it and see if you can't make it work.
Why? Guess what Beth Franklin said?
What?
You guys are great.
Well, I mean,
she's off her medication.
Somebody was bound to mess up like that sooner or later.
Here's what I want to ask you guys. If you have questions for me, it can be about comedy. It can be about a routine I did. It can be about one of the 2 books I've written. It can be about one of the 6 albums I've filmed. It can be one of the 21 films I've been in. It can be about anything about my faith, my conservative values, about culture. If you want to ask some questions, Wyatt will try to monitor them, and if we have time, I'll try to answer them. I want to give you that opportunity. Many people that watch this show, especially the first time, have seen my clips online. They think I'm a comic that they find interesting, so they want to see what I'm like in real time. Those of you who have been fans of Stine Has Issues for the last couple of years and show up every Monday, you know this is where I expose my heart. This is where I'm a real human being. I'm not a comedian act. I'm not an actor act. I'm not a personality or some sort of whatever people think I am because they only see me through television. Thus, they give me the status as being, whatever you would call it, a celebrity. But I'm just a guy on a journey trying to defend my faith, religious liberties, and this great nation, the greatest nation of all time, on the brink of being destroyed, and it's going to be on our watch unless we do something about it. So, if you have any questions, please ask them. I got a question
for you right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Shari Fiorino, I butchered that, says, what are the 2 things not to do for a first-time stand-up?
What are the 2 things not to do for a first-time stand-up?
Yeah, like routine. Like if it's your first time
doing
a stand-up routine, what would you say are 2 things
you should not do?
The 2 most important things not to do.
One thing would be to not be close enough to the mic. If you are not used to being on stage, you're not used to using a mic. Mic technique is incredibly important. Because you're going to use the dynamics of your voice, even if it's small or low-key. I don't know who this girl is. I don't know what she's all about. She might be loud. She might be, very robust. But if you're more low-key, make sure you dig into that mic because that's how you control the audience with your voice. That's all you get. And then the other thing you wouldn't want to do your first time is you don't want to expect them to laugh. Now, That might sound counterintuitive. What do you mean? I don't want to get up there and have them not laugh, and then I start eating it and sweating, and they can tell that I don't know what I'm doing, and then I panic, and then they think I suck, and then they tell me I suck, and then I go off, and I begin to weep and gnash my teeth. Yeah, that's the secret. They don't know what you don't know. They don't know it's your first time if you don't say so. So the number one tip I give to any person that's trying to just figure this out, get on stage for the first time, is, and it's 2 words, and it's gonna seem simple, but it isn't. Have fun. Now, it's not fun. You're scared, you're nervous, you're saying your jokes, they're not laughing, you suck, they're booing you, and you can't get off fast enough. Nothing fun there. But here's the key. Comedy is confidence. Believing that what you have to say is worth listening to. So when you get up there, I want you to just take the material and I want you to deliver it to the people with the confidence that this is funny, even if you don't laugh. Don't look for them to respond. Don't wait for them to respond, because it will throw you when they don't, and more than likely, they're not going to if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're waiting for that response, which you were practicing in the mirror, you're going to get off base, you're going to look panicked, and they're going to really feel uncomfortable because they can tell you don't know what you're doing. Then they feel bad for you. You're making them feel bad. Now they really hate you. So the key, get up there, use your mic, and then deliver your line as though you were in a play doing a monologue. You're going to say what you say. You're going to believe in it. You're going to punch the line where you think it needs to be punched. You're going to stop where you think it needs to be. And if nobody laughs the whole time, you don't care, because I'm having fun. I just want to say these things, and they're funny to me. And that's all I care about. If you do that, you'll be shocked at how well you'll do. And even if you don't get a lot of laughs, you'll feel comfortable. You know what? I kind of been okay. I can do this. And that's the key. You've got to give yourself the comfort to get up there and keep repeating it, because you have to do it a long time to realize if this is something you want to do and if you're any good at it. And the only people that can tell you if you're good at comedy is the audience. They'll laugh or they won't. But just because they don't laugh doesn't mean you can't get better. It takes time. So that's the answer to that question. I have something else I want to tell you guys. For all of you out there who are fans of my comedy, and that's why you popped in today. And Wyatt, I don't know how to tell you this, but we have 373 people watching.
Oh yeah, we maxed at like 408.
Yeah, this is, well, that one guy left because it was boring.
407.
407. He's off somewhere. You know what he's watching? He's finding another train wreck.
Oh yeah, he's probably finding the
he's finding wreck. Somebody that didn't figure it out like you did. You're gonna ruin us, Wyatt. They expect you to screw things up.
Well, I mean, you can't afford to hire anyone else to do this.
I can't.
We're just gonna have to weather the storm and hope that I somehow forget what buttons.
You're telling me I'm gonna have to find more money to hire a guy to come in and screw things up so that it appears that we still don't know what we're doing, thus they feel sorry for us, and they look at us as a couple amateurs doing our best, and they just come in and watch out of pity. That was our hook.
You know, how much do you think like a trained orangutan is?
Ooh,
that could work.
Listen, you get on that, even though I don't pay you for that.
So while I'm looking up monkeys.net...
yes, I need to ask them a question, though. Is that all right?
So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, listen, I need to ask you guys a question. So sometimes I show you guys clips of my comedy, and I've done it for different ways. Sometimes I show you a clip of the comedy, and then I will comment, here's where I was when I wrote this, here's what made me write this, here's what made me think about it. Other times I've shown you clips of that because maybe it would reference where another famous comedian used the same joke, and I had done it before him, so I was proving a point about how comedy has parallel development and how you can come up with something another guy does, and they think you stole it from somebody, and sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you're funny, you came up with the same funny thing some other guy did. That works. Other times I want to see people see where people actually stole my material, and how, because people accuse me of stealing. I say, here's where my stuff got stolen. It happens all the time. So I've shown you clips for different reasons, but here's what I need to ask you guys out there. When the week goes through, and you, I guess, follow me on Facebook. If you haven't, please follow me. Please go to YouTube, subscribe to Stine Has Issues. I need your help, and get on there. And then also, we need your donations. So just let me know where I can send you a clip. It's a 501c3. It's a ministry, so it's a tax-deductible gift for me to say these things to America. And if you're out there and you're Australian and you're Ireland and you're Scottish and you're Canadian, and I have friends and fans that watch from there too, God bless you. I'll fight with you too as humans, but my responsibility is to where I was born. That's America, because it is eating caca. And it's Wyatt's fault, because he doesn't know how to handle a button.
I don't know where the good button is.
Well, we'll find it.
Maybe we should have bought a board that had it included.
Okay, well, here's the big problem I want you guys to listen to. Mm-hmm. Do you see my clips during the week? I'm on Facebook a lot because as of now, it's still my primary means of communicating to my fans. I have over 300,000 followers, and so we're heading up to more and more. Of course, I want to get to 1 million. And so that's where we're heading. I need a lot more subscribers on YouTube and Instagram, only because I do not want to be famous. I want to be popular, because I think I have things to say that I want people to hear, and I can't do that if nobody's watching. So that's why popular is more important to me than famous. Famous is fraudulent. Famous is pride-driven. Famous gives you a credit you don't deserve because of what you do it for a living. People think it's better than what they do. It's not. It's not more important. Don't believe in it at all. But popular, that I'll strive for, because that means I'm doing something fruit-bearing. I'm doing something effective. And you're the ones that let me know if that's happening by showing up every Monday, that or you are on a work release program. So I need to know, do you see my clips? Do you see the comedy clips that come out all week over and over on social media? Do you see the clips? A new one just came out this week from me teaching at a men's event. And I'm going to show you a clip of that. But what I want to know from you guys is, how many of you have seen this prior to this? I need to know, because if I find out that 90% of you guys see these things, I don't want to kind of keep showing you some that you've seen all the time. But if most of you don't, if only a handful of you do, then I do want to bring it up, because the reason it's out there in socials, we think it's important, it's interesting, and it's something you might find interesting and enjoyable and hopefully inspiring. So I need your help to tell me, how many clips would you say you normally see? And have you seen clips that I've shown on the podcast before? Very often, so I don't keep being redundant for you guys. The reason I say that is I'm going to show you guys a clip of a comedy routine. Now, again, I do so many of these that I think, well, what if I showed them this clip before or not? But I'm going to show you guys this clip for a different reason. I'm going to show it to you because hopefully it's funny. I mean, it's an old clip. It's kind of a well-known one, and people have enjoyed it over the years. But afterwards, I'm going to deconstruct it by telling you what is the deeper message that I was trying to make with this piece of comedy. So I'm going to have you watch it. If you've never seen it, hopefully you'll laugh. If you have seen it, I want to see if you have taken the time to understand what it was I was trying to say. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to put them out there. And if we have time, I'll go ahead and answer them, just like I did that first woman who I literally, in just 5 minutes, Wyatt, gave her a career in stand-up comedy. I don't want to take credit for it, but son, I have to.
Okay, but you also don't want to not take credit for it, apparently.
I think you're right. I'm going to take credit for it. Anything you make in this business, I want royalties. Wyatt, show them a clip of why humans are better than animals.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Speciesist. That's what they'll say, species. It amazes me. I'm telling the people simply this. The very fact that we even talk about how we should treat animals proves we're better than they are, because I guarantee you animals in the Serengeti right now, they ain't having this conversation. If it limps, it's lunch. That's how they play. You see, we care about people because we believe that people are intrinsically valuable if you're a theist, that God gave you value. See, the very people that we most care about, the children, oh, we must help the children. If somebody hurts a child, we think you're the worst person, should be thrown in jail. How about the elderly? If somebody hurts an elderly person, we think you're the worst kind of person. Throw them in jail, throw away the key. Or the infirm. Anyone that's handicapped, if they're hurt, we think they should be thrown away. Think of that. Who do we most care about? The young, the old, the infirm, the same 3 categories animals choose when they go hunting. The young because they're inexperienced, the old because they're slow, the infirm because they can't get away. They hate them. They have no desire to give them grace or mercy because they're just food. That's why we're better than they are. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not that hard to figure out. They don't want to give you any kind of information like that. They don't want to do anything like that. They just want to tell you not to do it. Oh, you can't do that. You must be careful. If you care so much about the animals, go into the animal kingdom and teach them to be nice to each other first. Will somebody please help these wildebeests? There's like 500 wildebeest, one cheetah, they all scatter. Teach them to organize. You're much heavier and bigger than there's 500. Stop. Circle the cheetah. Dog pile on the cheetah. But what do? Oh, look, the cheetah's got old crippled Elmer. Whatever. Guess that makes more room at the watering hole. That's the way they are. And then they get mad at the people that hunt. Oh, you hunters, they can't stand you. We've got to stop the hunting, ban the hunting. But they aren't even consistent. That's what bothers me about these people. They only care about the cute animals. Just the good-looking ones. Oh, the spotted owl is being harmed. Oh, my goodness. Oh, look out there hurting the harp seal, Oh, dolphins are getting caught in the tuna net. This is my favorite. Stop. Dolphins are getting caught in the tuna net. Dolphins are getting caught in the tuna net. Yeah? What about the tuna getting caught in the tuna net? They're not crazy about it. But tuna are fish, and fish are ugly. They never help the fish. People never chain themselves to a dock. Be kind to carp. Never happens. They don't care about the ugly ones. Yes, but dolphins are second to humans in intelligence. Really? Then tell the dolphins to go around. Who came up with this idea they're so smart? I've seen dolphins at SeaWorld. They dance on their tail, bounce a ball on their nose, and go through flaming hoops of fire 5 shows a day, 7 days a week for a sardine. Hey, Brainiac, get a union. They don't like the fisher people. Can't stand you guys. No, we can't let this happen. We got to go after the hunters. The hunters. You see, that's all I'm saying. If you're going to go after hunters, you should go after the guys that catch fish. They're the most ruthless hunters I have ever seen. I mean, if I shoot it, it's dead. They'll catch this poor fish, battle it for 20 minutes, pull out of its environment. It's suffocating. Meanwhile, I'm taking pictures, showing it out. Hey, look what I did. Hey, look what I did. Take things in pliers, rip the hook out of his face, and then throw him back. If I'm a fish, I'm thinking, what was that all about? Eat me! I got a big hole in my face now thanks to you. I'm a freak. Gotta join some fish sideshow. Hi, I'm Blowhole.
Well, that was just me being a little funny guy, just doing my little comedy yucks, just trying to figure out how to make people have fun with their laughter, and I was just doing my little animal stuff, doing my little animal fun speciesist routine. Why, you might ask, did you do that joke? Well, first off, the first thing and reason I do my comedy jokes is because I think it's funny. First thing that drives me is, do I think this is funny? But it is usually spawned by something bugging me, something irritating me, something bothering me about something. And that, for me, sets me off on finding a funny way to kind of satirize, mock, ridicule this particular subject matter in a way that hopefully is funny, in a way that hopefully is poignant, in a way that hopefully has people laugh first. If they're not laughing, you're not doing comedy, and that's okay too. A TED Talk's not a comedy show, but people can get a lot of good inspiration out of a TED Talk. Not Wyatt. Not Wyatt. He can't find the button to find TED Talk, son. Why is that?
Well, because they're all really pretty colored buttons, and I get distracted.
Okay, well, anyways, I want to tell you something, buddy. You are nailing it tonight. So
Yeah.
Can I count on this from now on?
No.
Okay. I thought that was too much to ask. Listen, I wanted you guys to understand this about my show. If you are a brand new Brad Stine Has Issues watcher, nothing that I do is done frivolously. It started out as comedy. I was a professional magician before I was a comedian. My fans here that have watched the show know that. I was a professional magician. I have invented magic material that has been printed in well-known magic books. I am friends with very famous magicians and sleight of hand artists, of whom I was one. So that's a part of my life that I do more as a hobby now, just for fun, and I still love thinking about magical things and doing those things. But it's not my livelihood. I became a comedian. Comedy magician first, finally got rid of the magic, and then I became a comedian. And then I began to find out there were things about comedy I wanted to talk about, things about life I wanted to talk about. And one of the things that particular routine to me was representing was two things: a secular idea, even though it has a spiritual dimension, and a Christian ideas. Now, again, I know some of you aren't Christians out there, and you're thinking, well, what is he going to suddenly proselytize? No, I'm not. I'm not here to try to turn you into Christian, but I will give you reasons why it is the greatest belief in human history, because it corresponds to reality. The West, as we know it, Europe, and everything that's filtered over to the United States comes from the Judeo-Christian ethic. That is not a right-wing talking point. That is not some sort of conservative rewrite of history. It simply is historically accurate. Every single book written by atheists like Tom Holland, when he wrote Dominion, read that book. Atheists wrote it and said, yeah, it wasn't for Christianity, there wouldn't be a West, because these guys created things that had never been seen before. There's lots of books about that. So I talked to you about it to reason with you as to why I think this matters, because it affects the world. It changes you, it changes me, it changes the way we see the country, changes the way you vote, changes the way you see things, because it allows you to see the truth of something if a lie is being packaged around it. That is one of my favorite verses in the Torah. Torah is the Jewish book. It was the original book that created the realization that God is real and he's one. He's one guy. Monotheism never existed, came to the Israelites, we know as the Jews. They had the first 5 books of the Bible, and they from that created these ideas that were unbelievable and have infiltrated, of course, throughout history and created the West. But also, of course, Christians were all Jewish people that simply believed Messiah had come. So that's where we're at on that regard. But here's a verse that is so amazing to me. A lot of people that don't believe in God say, well, you got to be irrational. You got to jettison your ideas, your thoughts, your concepts, your intelligence, your education. Got to get rid of all that to believe in this invisible man in the sky and all the things and all the derogatory terms they use for God. And I don't have conversations with these people because they're not sincere. They're not looking for evidence. They're not looking for information. They're not looking to have interesting, intriguing interaction. They don't care about that. They're there just to disparage you and to put you down. They get joy out of that. They actually get pleasure out of putting down something that's sacred and holy to somebody else, which should tell you all you need to know about what their belief system creates in that human compared to those of us who know we're sinful and pathetic and we're trying to do good. And we're no good at it. But Isaiah 1:18 says, "Come now and let us reason together." This was what God said never existed in any other time in history through any other religion. God said, we get to reason together. God is reasonable. He's logical. And he says, I want you to do it with me. Let's talk about it. You got problems with me? You have problems with me? You don't understand all the things I do? You're not sure if I'm just and right and moral and good and true? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's see, oh man, you little guy that I invented. Let's see if you got some good arguments. Maybe you can convince me that I don't really know what I'm talking about, being as I'm only God. But nevertheless, that is amazing. He gives you a chance to go look for him, talk about it, and reason together. That clip of comedy about the animals, if you notice the through line, the foundation that was holding it up the whole time, was I was saying this, and I say it, and I said a lot. I'm not anti-animal. And by the way, I'm not crazy about animals. Don't like animals. Never really had a pet growing up. Didn't have anything. Even made a joke about that in one of my routines. But I did get a dog for my son and my daughter because my wife had cats, I think, and that will never happen, ever. If you ever hear, hey, Brad Stine has cats, guaranteed you, I have been killed and I have been evaporated in a vat of acid, and they've built a automaton or a robot. What would be the nowadays term for a robot or an absolute duplicate of me? What would they call that in 2022 vernacular?
Well, they would certainly not call it a automaton.
Okay,
which is like clockwork thing from like what, the 30s, 40s,
1800s and 1700s. Okay, yeah, how about robot?
Well, you think I'm at 1930s? No. So I think today it would be artificial intelligence, Android, something along
Android or AI or doppelganger.
Depending on the exact specifications of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, if I ever come to you and say, hey, son, I got a cat, you'll know it's not me. I'm just letting you know now.
Trust me. If you just walked up to me and say, hey, son, I'd know. I'd know.
Why?
I don't know.
Just for saying, hey, son?
Yeah.
Son, I love you.
I know you do.
I always say, hey, son, and talk about
but
stuff.
you, in my 26 years of living with you, not once have you ever started any conversation with, hey, son. Like, that's the thing that they do in the C-list horror movies. The ones that, like, even direct to DVD is too good for it.
Hey, son?
It's the most cliche startup to anything. No actual human being starts a conversation like that.
Okay, I got you.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyone wants to argue me about this point? Please speak up now.
I got you. Well, listen. Hey, son, I'll keep that in mind.
Oh, you.
That's why I'm on this side of the camera, because I'm that fast. Listen, I wanted to do a joke about animals are beneath humans. I am not anti-animal. And here's what's interesting. Watch the threads underneath the commentary by people that see my clips. Now, I understand that on Facebook, you will get some of your material will end up on people's pages who are not Christian, who are not theists. They're not conservative. They're not, and so they see my stuff and they hate it because it's not the way they think, and they can't stand looking at it. And nobody is more fragile and more unable to laugh at themselves than the left. It is literally impossible for them. They consider it insulting. They consider it demeaning. They can't take a joke. It's why they always say conservatives aren't funny. Yes, we are funny. Unfortunately, you can't laugh at yourself, and you're the joke. We're making fun of your junk the way you make fun of ours. But because you think we have the problem, when you laugh at our stuff, that's deep and insightful. But when we turn the tables, do the same thing to you, you're just like a little baby, like literally like a child. I can't take it back. I can't take jokes about my people. I can't take jokes about Biden. I mean, the only president I've ever known, and I've been through a bunch of them, that every time he talks, Alzheimer's patients are going, what is he saying? That's how bad it's been. You can't take that joke because you worship that guy. You have abandoned God. You are secular. Thus, you need a counterfeit, an idol to fill the place of God, because God is real. You were designed for him. He'll let you jettison him, but that vacuum is filled with something to worship, and it usually is yourself. It's your own feelings. It's your own autonomy. It's your own agency. You will worship, or in the case of people like Sam Harris, who believes he's determined, thus he's not actually thinking. He's just forced to do that through the molecular configurations of his mind, in chemical reactions that he had nothing to do with, because he's determined, because he's a neo-Darwinist, then he simply goes to science. Science is his way of somehow giving himself the illusion that he has some insights, some thoughts, and some ideas that matter. But keep in mind, this is a man that believes he is determined, which means if he believes that, it's because he was determined to, which means he's not thinking of it at all. all. I don't believe it, but because I'm determined, I was determined not to believe the way he did, and so it gives the illusion that we're having a conflict when in fact we're simply tape recorders spewing out that which has been encoded into our minds. That's the irrationality of an atheist. That's why I can't be an atheist, because there is nothing more irrational and more lunatic than living a nihilistic life and finding that that conclusion is worth considering when in fact it literally means life has no meaning. Anyways, we've talked about that on previous episodes, but I wanted you to know that there is thought that goes behind the comedy. There's things I'm trying to do that I care about that are different. And here's something I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's something that I wanted to say. Over the years, I've wondered, I find myself saying more and more about my faith within my comedy. It's more and more about my conservative values in my comedy. I find myself saying more and more about America and its founding and the actual intent of the founding fathers and the Constitution and the Declaration. And I'm doing it more and more and more. And sometimes I look at myself and I say, I admire guys like Richard Pryor or Chris Rock or Ricky Gervais, or guys that make jokes about things they disagree with or their observation of culture. I want to be part of that. I want to do that too. But I find myself not necessarily as making everything humorous. Sometimes I will give sort of an idea, a thought, a concept that I want to talk about, and I string it in between the comedy. And it's always bugged me. It's like, just make it funny. Just do it like those guys do. And I'm finally coming to the conclusion, I think that, you know what? That's not what I'm here to do. I have things I really want to talk about that really don't have a place where the funny is. I'm just going to say what matters to me. It's going to be a little TED Talk interjection in the midst of the funny, and then when things get too heavy, I'm coming back to find the funny. And I realized, you know what, instead of complaining about that and wondering that maybe that ain't good, why don't you just say, that's my style, and it's not like anybody else's. It may not be as funny to you because there's points that aren't funny. You may not like that style, and you certainly don't have to watch. But what I'm realizing is, why don't you just do what feels right to you, what you feel you're supposed to say, and let the chips fall where they may. That's what matters to you. So when you saw things like the joke about the animals, it was me talking about humans are superior. Where does that come from? Christianity or Judeo-Christianity, that God made us and said have dominion over them. Be nice to them. Be kind to them. They're gifts to you, but they aren't like you. You are made in my image. They aren't. That's what Christianity teaches. That's how you come up with ideas that you can sell dogs and get rid of their puppies, and you can put them down, and you can do things to them you can't do to humans. They're not in our category. You can love them, you can be kind to them, you can take care of them, they can comfort you. I have never said they aren't valuable, or that people that are alone or old, elderly and have cats or animals or dogs that help them, good for you, thank God for that gift. But they're not your children. They're not human. And I've actually had people say to me, they get angry when I say that. Well, you know what? I've actually have had a lot more friends with animals than humans. I actually love animals. They're more loving than any human I've ever known. And they say that as though they're sticking up for the animal. And I've always kind of felt that it was less a statement about how wonderful animals are, and it's more of an indictment of your inability to interact with your own species. It's kind of an indictment on you. If you think that the only connections you can make in life is with animals, you need to get some real friends. You need to get some real people that come alongside you and love on you, because you need human connection. That's the way you're designed to do. Anyways, again, it is what it is. You go do what you need. You be who you want. You call who you want to love or what you want to do. I believe in freedom, but I will not censor reality and truth. Saying that, a routine came out on my social this week that was actually filmed quite a few years ago in Green Bay, Wisconsin, at Mark Gunger's church. Wonderful pastor. He's got a ministry called Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. And he does marriage conferences, and he's very funny. You may have seen him on YouTube, The Tale of Two Brains, where he has two skulls, a male and a female, and he talks about the difference between men and women. And it got millions and millions and millions and millions of views. So go look him up, Mark Gungor. But anyways, it was his church. It was called Manly Man Conference. It was just for men. And so he wanted me to come in. He was a fan and a friend. And he said, come do your man comedy. I'd worked with Promise Keepers for years in front of 20,000 men at Dallas and Orlando and all around this country. And he said, I want you to do some man stuff, lift up men, defend men. I'm a big pro-masculine guy, and that doesn't mean you have to have guns and shoot and beat up people. Now, I'm not saying masculine comes in only one flavor, but I do believe that men are made with a very specific gift and a very specific uniqueness to the culture that is different than women and important, and women need it just like men need women. And so I am unapologetic about that. So this was an excerpt from my comedy with me trying to make a point about Jesus. See, Jesus is always thought of as sort of a bearded lady. He always has a little sheep around his neck, and he's walking around in flowing robes, and he's got his hair sort of anointed with oil, and he's very feminine, always thought of very meek. And I said, that can be him sometimes, just like men were taught that you can be kind and subdue your aggressiveness and your masculine testosterone for a woman's sake. You're supposed to do that. It's a discipline that you get to give to her. But there's a time for war. And Jesus showed us that too. And nobody talks about that. And some pastors are intimidated at that idea. But it is what it is. Because the Bible is God's word. If it says it, I talk about it. And so this is a clip that came out this week. Some of you probably have seen it, but we'll talk about it right afterwards. But it really was dealing with the idea of, is the way we've been taught how we can interact with others as a Christian man, and is the sin that we're told is an inappropriate means of communicating or acting or behaving, especially if there's some aggressiveness to it, some anger to it, some indignation to it. Is that sinful and needs to be feminized, or is there another way to see how men who are followers of Jesus can behave? That's what this was all about. Came out, and it's gotten a whole lot of attention. And I'm going to give it to you now, because you are my family. Wyatt, let them see what I got.
All right.
How many people here think that if you insult somebody, it's a Christian thing to do? Nobody, of course not. We've been trained. If I call you a son of a snake, is that an upside? Wouldn't you say that's somewhat offensive? Wouldn't you say that is somewhat insulting at the least? I'm just asking you a stinking question. Holy crap, we'll be selling balls at the back of the table. It's Men's Hut, you can speak out. There's no woman going, shut up, none of that tonight. Okay, one, but that's it. How many people think an insult is a sin? Yes. So we got a problem. Jesus sinned. He's not God. We wasted our weekend. Let's get drunk. Or sin isn't always what we're taught. What else can it be? I'm not some heretic. I'm not some theologian. I'm a man. I'm a comedian. I'm a moron. I'm like you. The greatest thing you can learn this weekend, and I know Mark will help drive that home because it's his gift, is a scripture that says, renew your mind. If you are a Christian of any time and age, if you've grown up in the church or you've been a Christian for quite some time and you're seeking God in a real way and Jesus in a real way, if that really is who you are, you have been trained how to think. You've chosen, here's what I've heard a long time ago, and it fits. As a Christian, you pretty much believe what your pastor does. That's become your character. Because that's who you go to be taught from. Some people might be mature enough to listen to their pastor and go, I don't believe in that thing. I don't think I have that. But I'm still here. I'm still going to compete. I'm still going to participate. I don't believe. Some of you do that, but most of us don't. We believe or we don't with what they said. Now, that doesn't mean they're wrong. But there's a lot of gray in Christianity, a lot of nuance that we don't give ourselves, especially when we're young. New Christians, black and white. That's all it is. You become a Christian, instantly you know it all. You figure out all the answers. You figure out how it all works. And then you live in this for year after year after year. And you end up in a cave somewhere while your enemies are off eating and enjoying themselves. And you're sitting there going, hey, thanks, God. Great move. I love this thing you've given me. You read the Psalms and you say, oh, sometimes it looks like that. Table tipping Jesus. Let me explain something to you, my brothers of masculinity. You want to renew your mind? Quit reading Jesus like a metaphor. When we said he tipped tables, he really did. He took a table and went, and then they said he fashioned a whip before he got there, so it was premeditated. He knew what he was going to do. He went with an intention. You don't get it. His church is loaded. I can't break anything, right? It looked like that. Oh, whoa, what the crap? Hey, man, what the heck? If you kick things in your direction where you can be hit, if you swing at somebody with the intent of harming them or frightening them or intimidating them, even if you don't hit them, you know what it's called in the United States of America? Assault and battery. You can be arrested. How many people here came here tonight thinking, one thing I know for sure about God is assault and battery is a Christian way? None of us, because it isn't. But Jesus did that. He sinned. He's not God. We wasted our time. Or sin isn't everything we've been taught. What does that mean? Am I saying what a manly man does is get angry and shove people around and stuff? I didn't say that. What I'm trying to get to you with in mind renewal, my brothers, is this. Apparently, there's elements of our faith that are not as easy to grasp as we thought. And that's good. I want to be taught, be angry, sin not. We're taught that. He didn't say don't be angry, it's a sin. Go ahead and be angry. There's a way to do it right. Oh, teach me that. Because I'm a man. I get angry. Sometimes it's off. Sometimes it's screwed up. Do not go walk out here thinking, oh, he's teaching us that we don't have to be merciful and gracious and loving. Of course we do. Of course there's a righteous, holy road we're taking to become redeemed and to become better and to grow and to change and to evolve. Yes. But I can't ignore the Bible that has Jesus doing things that don't sound Christian. So there's something else here. And all I know, even if I can't explain exactly what it all means, I do know this. The category it lands in is masculine. And because nobody has given us that, we leave sometimes church uninspired. Because what we feel is everything that comes from our masculinity is wrong.
So, as you can see, it was an exploration about this Jesus guy, because we always see him in one flavor, one style, and I wanted to explore, is there other ways to see this? But most importantly, is there other ways to explore the idea of sin? Now, here's why I said that. There's a guy I like a lot, and you should watch him, Dennis Prager. Many of you probably know if you've watched Prager University clips. They're amazing. Watch him, subscribe to him. Great guy. I've interviewed him twice. But I would love to talk more from him. But one thing he learned from studying Torah is they would ask, why did God say this instead of that? And I love that approach. In other words, you don't just read something and go, oh, and there it is. You go, well, he could have said this instead of that, or he could have done it this way, but he didn't. He did it that way. Why? Let's reason together. Let's see if we can find an answer. God, if he is real, is so deep that sometimes he tells us something and it takes us 1,000 years to go, oh, now I get it. Literally, it takes that long for humans to grow and get more information so they can put the pieces together and go, oh, I see what he meant, but he had to tell us 1,000 years ago to give us a chance to catch up and get to the answer. So that's what I was curious about, was this idea of Jesus said, you sons of snakes, you generation of vipers. So he was insulting them. He was using a metaphor. You are like snakes, to put them down, to make a point about what he wanted them to know. Here's how I see you. You're like the lineage of snakes. You're deceptive. You're evil. You're blah, blah, blah. But it was a put down. You called them a name, so to speak. And what I was saying was, well, we got to used to thinking if you said somebody who called them a name, it's wrong, it's evil, it's not Christian. I thought, well, he just said that, so there must be something else here that we don't understand. It's what I was wondering about the idea of stupid. You know, we're taught from the time we're little kids, don't call somebody stupid, it's not nice. Stupid means uneducated. Stupid means unable to formulate ideas, concepts, and insights about something. Do you see what I just said? Unable to form ideas and insights about something, or grasping them, or being educated in these ideas. So if somebody you spoke to somebody about an idea and they literally couldn't grasp it, they didn't understand it, they weren't able to do that, you could say, well, you're stupid. And it would be true. And so this is what I'm curious about. If somebody literally thinks something that is incoherent to reality, it's stupid. So is it an insult if it's true? That's what I'm curious about. That's what I want to talk about. Listen, we're getting close to the end of the podcast, so I'm going to answer quickly a couple people's have written some things in here. So I'm going to answer those, and I'm going to let you guys go. I thank you so much for coming on Monday. This is fun. We're getting better and better, and soon we'll be having guests, so hopefully we can grow. But I've noticed something. We said that we had a lot of great new folks on. This was exciting and fun, but I'm also realizing that many of them are trolls. They're atheist trolls, and their job is to come on and insult, and this is important. I'm not going to ever push them off. If you're still there and watching, I won't get rid of you. I won't censor you unless you're starting to use language and so forth and just be crude and inappropriate. I'm not going to put up with that for anybody. But I rarely ever comment to atheists or leftists on the internet through these threads. Why? Because I don't want to talk to them? No, because they don't want answers. They don't want a conversation. They don't want interaction. They're not looking for light. They're looking for heat. They get pleasure out of hurting people that don't think like them. Let's give you an example. His name is Everell Kinzel. Hey, Everell! Here's what he wrote. What is your take from the ministry? I don't even know what that means. Popular is famous. They are synonymous and have no difference in meaning or intent. I just said they did. I just said there is a way to differentiate ideas as to what famous actually means and what popular might mean. You can have a local hamburger joint that's really popular, but it's only known in the small area of my town. They're not famous at all. So you're completely wrong with that insight. And so you might want to think about, perhaps if I leave information out there, I should be right about it, or I'm not doing a service to the atheists. Okay, let's start right there with that obvious. In general, I hear what you're saying. Send money. Didn't say that. Said if you want to donate because you like this, be my guest. You know, like all the atheists do on their podcasts. But only they get it? I see. So that's your version of being what? Open-minded? No, because you're not. I'm simply using your words to expose how you see the world. And more importantly, what atheism gives the world, because this is what it produces. So I'm just going to use his words so you can see it. He had the courage to say this behind a desk. So I'm going to have the courage to speak back to him. Yeah, faith and fact are two different things. Well, faith, are they? Well, do you have faith that you're going to wake up tomorrow? It's not a fact, but you have faith you're going to. So sometimes you have faith that gravity's going to work. Can't prove it's going to work tomorrow, but you have faith that does. So it's kind of a fact, isn't it, that gravity works? And as a Christian, I know that God created the natural laws, so I know they're going to work tomorrow. But you have to have a faith in that because you are a materialist. You have no reason for us to exist. It happened by accident. Thus, you have to have faith that gravity is going to work. And you do, but you say faith is really nothing you should hang on to. And yet you do it every day. So you are a hypocrite. That's how it works. Let's see what else he has to say. And that's how we remain America, a land of laws, not a nation of laws skewed to one's interpretation of a book of any faith. Okay, skewed to one interpretation? Yeah, I don't even know what that even means. You are a political hack, making money, preaching dogma. I see. You, on the other hand, are an atheist who believes that if you say those words, they're true. But they're not. They are a insult that you threw at me because it was your perspective. It's not true. It's slander because I'm not actually any of those things. I have nothing to do with politics. I was talking about culture and cultural issues. But you decided to attack my character and insult me. That's what atheism is. It insults because it cannot defeat with rational logic because it has none. Remember, Nietzsche, Bertrand Russell, all the greatest atheist thinkers who you can't even compete with when it comes to atheism, all said the same thing. If atheism is true, nihilism is true. Life has no transcendent meaning. Life has no meta-narrative. There is none. Life is like a giant novel. Everything that an atheist says, and I've said this on other podcasts, have to work out a meaning for life. That's what they'll say. Well, we just make it work on our own. Matter of fact, there's another guy that said that thing. He said it right where? K.C. Copeland. You work to make meaning out of your life as an atheist. You work to make meaning out of your life. Remember, atheism, if it's true, means we are here by accident. We are not here by design or by an engineer. We are here by accident. We just exploded and we eventually showed up. That's right. Atheists believe that eventually the cooling down of material and the chemicals therein somehow came to life. They believe rocks came to life. Mud came to life, became biological beings. They believe in the fairy of magical rocks turning into humans. They believe in this mystical, magical unicorn world where things just explode and then they get more complex as opposed to degrading, which we know explosions always do. They have to believe in this ridiculous fable that all complexity comes from that thing which is not complex, but in fact is completely in disarray. It is the second law of thermodynamics that they say they believe, because science is what they worship, that states that all things left to themselves will degrade, and they think, but not when it comes to creating humans, the most incredible creation in the history of the universe. That happens by accident and actually works against the second law of thermodynamics. By just enough mutations, it becomes more complex and even a deeper, higher resolution of human. Of course, science proves that most of mutations always corrupt the cell and always destroy things, but they don't need that. They believe in the magic world where rocks become people. Now, everything I just said is true. Yet these guys came onto my site and simply wanted to not have a good conversation, not a rational conversation, not even a civil conversation, but instead attack me and my motives. They don't even know me. What kind of a coward has to attack somebody they've never met? One that knows they never have to face me face to face. Why would they want to? Why would they want to face me face to face? Then they'd have to deal with the reality that maybe they're not quite as courageous as they thought they were. See, that's the problem with atheism. See, I don't care just what you believe, but I also care about, can you justify it rationally and logically? Does it fit historically the wisdom of the ages? What has created more good, more value in all society and history? Atheism, which gives us Stalinism, Mao Zedong, and more deaths in the 20th century than every religious belief system in human history combined. Nobody does death, destruction, rape, and anti-human absolute degradation than atheist-driven Marxism. Nothing. Atheism, you are quick studies. You kill and destroy worse than anybody. You also got rid of God, which means you get to be God, which means you get to make the rules. If you decide that somebody deserves to die, you get to do it. Why not? God's not here. You get to be God. Nothing is lazier than to be an atheist. Nothing is lazier than to believe that there's nobody I have to bow to. I worship myself, and whatever I believe and whatever I like is true. That's what it means to be an atheist. Unfortunately, it affects me and my family and my country, because that laziness destroys, and it's destroying us right now. It's the Marxism from the Frankfurt School that created cultural Marxism, that came out of postmodernism, that became part of critical theory, which became critical race theory, which is now Marxism, teaching racism again, separating the races, taking the bourgeois and the proletariat that used to be economically driven, now driven simply by group identities, keeping us at loggerheads with each other, coming up with ideas like, let's beat people down with our leftist ideology like Antifa, but then we'll say that it's peaceful protest. We'll live in a fantasy world, a miraculous world where we make crap up as we go, because we don't know how to survive in a world that has no meaning. But we'll make meaning. You can't. If the earth has a beginning, and the universe does, and it does, and it's going to have an end, that makes the novel. Every bit of meaning that you pretend to put in the middle of that chapter in this giant novel is going to vanish one day with the novel when the earth and the universe disappears. So everything you do has no meaning, no ultimate meaning. You're going to die and go into eternal unconsciousness. So when you give the illusion that you're creating value for your life, you literally have to fool yourself. It's a sociopathy. You literally have to fool yourself into believing that life has some kind of meaning so you can survive. You know why you feel that way? Because life does have meaning. You know why it has meaning? Because there's an engineer, there's an architect, there's a God, and he made you. You know why you're on this program right now watching me? So God could give you that information so you could rethink it. Are you going to? I don't know. Maybe not. You might just want to insult me and laugh and joke and put your little emojis on and walk away. That's up to you. You will face God one day. And if you have not accepted his redemption, you're going to hell, and you're going to be there forever. That's why I don't hate you. I feel sorry for you. You have lost your way. And clearly, by your comments, you're not a happy human being. You don't know what happiness is. You don't know what peace is. But it's here, and God loves you enough to spend this night watching a ridiculous comedian who you thought you could simply insult and think that somehow you've done some touche, when in fact, you've met your match. Why? Because you're loved by God. So I don't believe in accidents, only providence. So if you want to come back next week and watch, be my guest. If you want to comment, be my guest. But I only will endure it if you're looking for an actual conversation, actual inquiry, and actually care to weigh the evidence. And if I have found a way to overcome your objections, you have to grapple with it, and you have to deal with it, and you have to admit it. If you don't want conversation at all. And I'm not here to throw pearls before swine. If your ideology lacks coherence and mine wins, join us. Become part of what it means to actually know the Creator. And he's real, and he loves you just like he loves me. This is God's comic, Brad Stine. This is Brad Stine Has Issues. Let's keep it up. Keep sharing, folks. Put it out there. Let's see if we can get 800 next week. Let's keep seeking to see what it can look like if America continues to be free. And the only way it's going to be free is if people like you rise up. Remember, you're the government, and you will not censor yourself, and you will not shut up about truth. We must be the last truth tellers. Remember, we're building a militia of the mind. PC free is liberty. And that's God's comic, Brad Stine, just doing one thing, putting the woke back to sleep. See you next Monday. God bless.